Welcome to Black SEL, Blackity Black, the social and emotional hub for Black people. Listen, y'all, I'm so excited for the old listeners, the new listeners. We got a whole set now. So if you're watching and you're tuning in, what up, okay? I'm so excited for you to be joining us. This is the Black SEL Podcast, formerly known as the Dangers of the Mind Podcast. That's why I shouted out our old listeners, because shout out to you. You know, you some real OGs in the game if you've been with me. We've been on this roller coaster ride for about what we at now? In 2023, we've been doing this since 2018, okay? So shout out to the OGs that have been tuned into the Dangers of the Mind Podcast. We see you, we love you, we thank you, all right? Here at Black SEL, though, I want to really establish some group norms for us, because I want you to feel like you are here. I want me to feel like you are here. I want us to all be like really visually sitting on this couch, right? So I want you to feel like you're sitting right here next to me. But, you know, this season we are opening up a safe space for each and every one of you to share your experiences. So we do want to hear from you. We want you to rate our show. We want you to comment on our Black SEL Hub and follow us and all the great things, and follow me and DM me for, you know, topics and ideas that you want to have on the show. Or if you want to be actually a guest on the show, you should come join us. But we're going to talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about our expertise. So I'm going to have people on here sharing their expertise. And we're going to be vulnerable while doing it, okay? And I think it's going to be so important, because all of these things that we're going to do is all while we're highlighting key social and emotional skills. So as we talk about these things, we're going to pull out these skills that you may already be using, but you don't do it with intention, right? And so here at Black SEL, we believe that you are reSELient, you know, which is RESEL. We don't just believe you're resilient. You don't just overcome obstacles quickly, but we believe you overcome obstacles quickly with social and emotional learning skills. So I'm going to teach you that throughout the season. Also, our goal is with this podcast is to make SEL three things, right? We want to make it relatable. We want to make it tangible. We want to feel it, right? And then our third thing is we want to make it sustainable. You know, me going into this field, social emotional learning, I was tossed into education. I always say this, that I really got into this field. I don't know if it was by accident. You know what? I know it was by God's design. I do. I believe I was called to the field of education, but also I'm a very innovative person. If you don't know anything about me, I would highly suggest you go check out dangersofmind.com and blacksel.org and the great work we're doing on both platforms and both brands. But I'm really excited because, you know, Black SEL gave me such a refresher. You know when if you ever have worked a job for a really long time, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is great and I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but I feel like I need something more. You know, for me, I have established Dangers of the Mind, a social emotional learning educational consulting firm in 2016, and I wrote a book in 2015. And, you know, in that journey, there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of battles, a lot of obstacles. And, you know, as Black people, we just always are like, dang, like, why we always got to go through some obstacles, right? We was born out the womb, you know, coming out the womb with obstacles. But, you know, that's what makes us reSELient. But doing that, I had to realize with myself that, you know, I want to continue to be passionate about what I do. And, you know, although I've helped, you know, thousands of kids. I mean, probably over 30,000 students that we've helped. We've reached, you know, students through our curriculum. We've reached students through in-school suspension. We've created innovative tools to be able to be culturally responsive and culturally affirming, you know, and those things are important for our Black and brown students to be able to see themselves in the material, right? See themselves and understand what that looks like and how to apply it to their own life. So this is what I've been doing in my research and my writing and my developing for years, right? But there comes a time where, you know, I was not seeing as much representation of people that owned. Now, there are Black people, and shout out to you for doing amazing work in SEL around the nation. We thank you. You know, we honor you, and that's why we have our Black SEL Summit to honor and award folks that are Black that are doing social emotional learning work. But I created that because when I was in this field, when I started in this field, there was not a lot of people that I could look to the left and to the right that owned. And with Black people, ownership is important. Jay-Z says, until you own your own, you can't be free, right? And I believe, every day I ask myself, what does liberation look like to me? What does liberation truly look like to me? And to me, it is freedom. Freedom for Black people within our minds, freedom within our finances, freedom with our spirituality, loving and understanding who we are and understanding where we are supposed to go and what our purpose is. This is freedom, right? And so, I was praying and asking God, and this is a real situation. I was praying and asking God, how can I do more for my Black community that is within my field? I'm a big person that I stay in my lane, okay? So I don't like moving out into other lanes. So I said, how can I do more? And after I, prayed, I heard that, there should be something that empowers our Black community to know these skills. I know specifically what social emotional learning has done in my life. So let me take you down a journey real quick. Social and emotional learning has been a tremendous asset to me, right? It allowed me to, once I solely learned these skills, I leveled up so much in my reading, in my writing, in my discipline. I leveled up so much in all of these skills that allowed me to be confident in my abilities, right? I was able to constantly practice a growth mindset and believing that the skills that was placed in me at birth with effort and determination could be better each day, right? Because a lot of times we don't realize that we're operating in this fixed mindset. We could say, oh, we got that done, we accomplished that, but on a consistent basis, what are you really operating in? Are you always operating in a growth mindset? These skills allowed me to perspective take and be more empathetic for others. These skills allow me to build real relationships. I thought before I start teaching SEL and becoming an SEL expert and researching on SEL, I thought I was a great friend, right? And then when I started really understanding what social emotional learning was and really understanding the skill and the competency of relationship skills, I was realizing that I wasn't big at social engagement. Maybe I would go out to a party or an event, but did I really socially engage to the part where I was communicating constructively? Was I negotiating conflict constructively? And those were the things that I had to figure out about myself, because I was in a space where I thought I was a great friend, and then I had to really take a moment and be how can I be better to someone? And so throughout these episodes, we're going to learn each component of SEL, and we're going to talk about some Black SEL too, because, there's SEL and there's Black SEL. And one of the things I want to make sure you realize is that as Black people, we have always been different, right? And we had to accept that. But I want us to realize that as we practice these skills, we have to be super transparent with ourselves. And this is a space that we're creating. So listen, this is the show for you. You didn't click on this by coincidence. You're not listening by coincidence. This show is for you. And so we're going to work on being relatable, talking about current trends and the things that are happening, tangible and sustainable. So now we know, as Black folk, it's been a long time coming for us to walk into spaces and just open up and be vulnerable, right? So I know, we're going to ease into this thing. This is a journey. We're going to do this together. But all I ask for you is, as you listen to these episodes, as you watch our episodes, make sure that you are committed to not just learning something new, but actually implementing it in your own life. That's all I ask, because these episodes are going to be so deep and so raw and so real that I want you to go back and then take the time you need to self-reflect. So I want you to grab a journal, for these episodes. Make sure you write, notes down. Make sure you self-reflect. Ask yourself questions as we ask our guest questions throughout the season. So as the founder of Dangers of My Education Fund and the creator of Black SEL, I felt that it was my social responsibility. I hope you guys know what social responsibility is. I hope you have a social responsibility. That's something that you feel like you have to do collectively. It's not like we may have our own personal responsibilities, right? But our social responsibility is how are we impacting someone else's life socially? How are we collectively coming together to impact folks? And my social responsibility, and I found this out about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because I realized that Danger of Mind was a me thing, right? Even though we helped so many people and we have a whole team and they're doing amazing, but it was a me thing. It was Kristen Hopkins, Danger of Mind, right? Black SEL is a we thing because I realized that there was a lack of resources for Black people. There was a lack of research for Black people. What does culturally affirming truly look like in SEL for Black kids, right? And there was a lack of recognition for Black people that actually have been doing the work. Shout out to Dr. James Comer, and we'll get to him in a minute. We'll shout out our whole board for Black SEL. We thank you for just being able to, for just leading the way, you know? And with Black folk, y'all know, we gotta thank our elders. We don't play around with that. Listen, I'll sit around my elders all day long, okay? I soak up the wisdom. I soak up the knowledge because we don't want to make mistakes and we don't want to come in here acting like we the first ones that ever did something, right? There was always an ancestor before us. There was always a path laid before us. We are just repurposing, re-innovating to be culturally relevant to today's society, okay? But as a founder of Black SEL, I wanted to make sure that it became my social responsibility to teach my Black community social emotional learning. You know, as a curriculum developer, I saw a huge need for Black parents because what I saw, like, was that SEL was becoming a trend. And although that's great, right? We want it to be the top tier. We want everybody to know about it. But we don't want it to be a trend, right? Because trends fade, right? You see all these trends that happen and then they just go away and we look up and we like, dang, there goes the next trend. Like even the hottest videos on TikTok and the hottest viral videos, they probably be hot for like what? 2 days, 3 days, and then there goes the next viral video. Then there goes the next TikTok. We don't want to be a trend. We don't want SEL to be a trend in the Black community. We cannot afford it to be a trend in the Black community. These skills can help our grandmama's grandmama, right? These skills can help our nieces. These skills can help our aunties. These skills can help the ones that have been in the neighborhoods that might have been on welfare for years and years and years, right? These skills can help your cousin's cousin that has been scared to step out their comfort zone, hasn't got a job. These skills can help anyone that you know of that even has a good job but wants a better job. We all want to be better. We all want to grow. So now that you're watching this, I'm holding you accountable to be your tribe for your community, whatever community that looks like, to each one, reach one, teach one. So I'm the each one, I'm teaching one, and you should be reaching one, right? So that is your accountability to make your tribe better. And social emotional learning is it for Black people. It's a must. It's a need. It can't be a trend, right? So I created these programs called Let's Talk More SEL in 2019. I remember we partnered with Hartford Public Schools, and I had an idea and I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And all of the ideas that I have, I might not know the full on plan, but I know that it's needed. And as an entrepreneur, because if you read about me, I was an entrepreneur first. So I'm an educational entrepreneur, if that's what you want to call me. But as an entrepreneur, we are solutionists. We are supposed to fill gaps. I just don't do what I do to do what I do, but I do what I do to actually assess the landscape and make sure that we're filling gaps and there's a need, right? So we're going into schools and we're going into organizations or we're doing research and we're looking at the needs. We don't want to just provide information, but we want to provide needed information, right? And so we provided a Let's Talk More SEL for parents in 2019. We started this, my team from the Dangers of the Mind, and we started seeing how impactful these were. I mean, shout out to Clayton County. You know, we started having like 100, 200 people on the line. These are all parents that were glued to the screen. This is virtual, by the way, because it was 2020 in the middle of COVID. You know, we started 2019 and it was in person, but then we had to start them over to virtual. And the impacts of our parents the importance of the parents understanding what these skills meant, so that, guess what? We're not just teaching them to our kids and our kids are going home to either a toxic environment, or the environment might not even be toxic, right? It just might be an environment where it's a busy environment. It's so much going on, and there's everybody's everywhere. Ain't nobody eating dinner out at the same time, right? It could be a financially hardship environment where the mama's just trying to keep the lights on. The daddy's always at work. It could be an environment where it's a one household family, and a child is more like a caretaker. They might be taking care of the kids while mama's at work. Whatever the household is, every single household can use social emotional learning. Nobody is exempt from social emotional learning skills. And so with Let's Talk More SEL, we created this platform so that we could teach social emotional learning skills to parents, and then they can intentionally practice and model these skills in the home with their students or their kids, their family, just wherever they were in their communities. And what we saw was that parents was like, dang, I didn't know that I had these problems. I didn't know that I needed help with empathy. I didn't know that I needed perspective change with my child. Because, in the Black communities, I don't know if y'all grew up like this, but I grew up with the stay in a child's place, right? We have all these sayings in our Black community that taught us things. And not to say that we shouldn't have stayed in the child's place, but sometimes parents need a perspective take what a child is actually going through versus talking at them, but learning with them, right? And so this right here is just for us to build more healthier communities within our community, for us to be able to love each other and learn, because the bottom line of SEL is learning, right? And so I want you to ask yourself, what is my social agency? What am I doing? What am I creating? Who are my accountability partners? Who's going to help me walk through this thing, right? And just really ask yourself, am I building authentic relationships with people, or do I have motives myself? Because we want to make sure that as we go through this episodes and this season together, that we are on the same page. And all we want to do is grow together, love on each other, and be great in social and emotional learning skills. So this entire season, we're going to have some phenomenal guests, y'all. When I tell you these people that are coming through and this lineup, sick, okay? We got fashion experts and fashion and tech experts. We're going to talk about Black women in menopause. We're talking about Black SEL in the Black church. We're talking about Black SEL in natural hair, because you see a girl that went natural, okay? If you know me and you've been following me, I be with the perms and without the perms, with the perm, but I'm really actually on my natural journey, and it feels really, really good. So we'll talk about that, and that's something I'm excited to talk about, because I want to really be vulnerable with you in this space. And one of the things, shout out to all the SEL experts, but one of the things I do want to make sure I mention is that if you are a social and emotional learning expert, there is no time for you not to be vulnerable. There's no time, because it's a huge act of being a hypocrite. If you are telling people to, because SEL is all in your business, right? So what y'all gonna do this season is y'all gonna learn all about me, because I want to be the first one. And I mean, if you've seen me speak, or if you've heard me do a presentation, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be raw, because I know in my community, that's what Black people love. We don't love the fake and phony. We could sniff it out all day, just like our kids, right? So I want you to realize that this season is gonna be different. I mean, I think I was, with the dangers of my podcast, I think I was definitely vulnerable and open and transparent, but I think that this is scratched a new surface and a new level for me. When it comes to relationships, we're not just gonna be talking about relationship skills with other people and coworkers. We're talking about, what does a relationship look like with yourself? Are you actively listening to yourself, right? What does that even look like? Where do you begin? And so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Black SEL and Black liberation, right? Because I consider myself an activist in my own right. I consider myself an advocate for SEL and SEO research in Black communities. I want to make sure that we are touching on educational justice and what does that look like in our communities? What does that look like for Black SEL? Right? So I'm excited about it. So let's talk about it. So how are we making Black SEL more relatable, tangible, and sustainable in the communities? Relatable, tangible, sustainable. Remember those. It's relatable, it's tangible, it's sustainable. Tangible. Through our podcast, in these episodes, we're doing a lot of storytelling, which allows us to be super transparent and create a safe space. Okay? And I think that's going to be important because Black folks just now going to therapy. Therapy is just now something cool to talk about. Before you was going to therapy, you wasn't saying it out loud, But now it's like I go to therapy and I've been working through my stuff. I had some trauma, I got a little bit of issues, I got some insecurities. I got some things I'm working on, and that's okay to say out loud because when you name that thing, things shift. Right? When you name it, when you acknowledge it, that's just like self-awareness. We got to acknowledge our emotions. When we acknowledge what's in our invisible backpack, what's in our heavy backpack that nobody sees, then we're able to progress and we're able to do something about it. So yeah, we're going to be tangible. We're going to create episodes that are going to be storytelling, and we're going to feel in the moment. We're going to feel how we feel, what we feel. We're going to name it. We're going to speak it, right? Relatable. We will talk about current events and current trends, that's happening in society. I want to make sure that when we bring our experts on, we want to know what's going on in their industries. So y'all learn about every single industry, but we're also going to learn what's happening as Black people in a whole. Because I don't care what industry you're in. If you see police brutality and you see a young boy getting beat up every single, I'm talking about nonstop by the cops, we all might have the same emotions, or we all are going to feel in that moment. And so I want you, as you're watching and listening to this, to allow yourself to feel. Give yourself permission to feel. All right, we're going to talk about corporate America and the new laws and new regulations and the new policies. We're going to talk about how you feel in corporate America, what pressures you have in corporate America, because I don't really know that life. I ain't about that corporate America life, okay? But I like that you are, so we're going to learn from you too. So we want you to be able to share with us your experiences. We also want to hear from you. You'll have some surveys that we want you to fill out so that we know who's watching and who's listening. Relatable, tangible, right? We talked about tangible and relatable. And the last one is sustainable. So through our interviews with Black professionals, we are able to cross-promote SEL into other industries to make this sustainable in Black communities, right? So we just not bringing people on here to bring people on here, right? We actually doing it with intention to make sure that if you're in the fashion industry, I'm going to tell you all about SEL, so then you go back and tell your fashion friends. If you're in the health and beauty and wellness industry, I'm going to tell you all about SEL, so you go back and tell your friends and sustain it in your community, right? It's the each one, teach one, reach one model, okay? So we're going to be able to do that. And through our SEL Hub, which I'm so excited about, our Black SEL Membership Collective has launched. Y'all could go check it out. It's phenomenal. All the databases on SEL trends, SEL and race, everything you want to know about SEL, we are trying to teach you those skills and keep you up to date what's happening. We have our Black SEL Summit. Killed it last year. It was absolutely amazing. And we're going to go back this year, September 29th and 30th. We're looking for speakers. We're looking for vendors. We're looking for Black people that want to be able to push their programs and products, because like I said, I know the struggle if you're actually a provider looking to get contracts in districts. So we'll have professionals there. We'll have urban district leads there. We'll have people that can see your products and that can buy your products, and so that you can get exposure right face to face with them. So yeah, so if you are not an educator or someone in the constant space of education, you probably do not hear the term social emotional learning often. So this podcast is for you. This podcast is for you too. We want to reach every single person So don't be intimidated if you don't know what SEL is. Through this season, you're going to learn all about it in ways that you can, and you will, because I believe in you, sustain this in your own community. All right. So through our SEL hub, though, we're creating free resources, y'all. That's right. I said free 99. Okay. Free resources for Black people to practice SEL skills in the home and in their communities. So log on to blacksel.org. You could download some free resources for you. You could watch some videos from our past summit, and you could just be a part of our collective membership. So the term social emotional learning is relatively new. The concept of SEL has been used in education for a long time, but SEL was formed from scholars from multiple fields, and there was multiple fields such as emotional intelligence, child development, prevention science, bullying prevention, and public health. They all came together in 1994 to identify key skills and competencies students need to successfully navigate school and life. And I'll say students and adults, right? But there was a good old man named Dr. James Comer. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go way back into time. Dr. James Comer was the first African American to become the full professor at the Yale School of Medicine. He currently serves as the Maurice Falk Professor of Child Psychiatry at the Yale Child Studies Center and the Associate Dean at the Yale School of Medicine. His pivotal research project paved the way for the eventual emergence of social emotional learning. And again, he's a Black man with a plan to support the whole child. In 1968, Dr. Comer and his colleague at Yale University Child Study Center designed an intervention project for poor Black students attending 2 elementary schools in New Haven, Connecticut. At each elementary school, the students were 99% Black and almost all were poor. Each school ranked near the bottom in achievement and attendance with the district. In addition to poor performance and low attendance, each school also had severe problems with discipline and behavior. The staff was unhappy, evident by a 25% turnover. People was like, peace out. I'm out of here. I ain't working with these kids no more. And I know some of these educators feel that way now, but we got to keep holding on, right? Keep holding on. And so Dr. Comer described the parents of students as being dejected, distrustful, angry, and alienated. He planned to examine ways to improve outcomes for poor Black students at each of the elementary schools. He hypothesized that merely focusing on improving test scores alone would not result in a better school or increased academic achievement. Instead, he empathized a focus of the whole child, an approach centered on addressing the unmet needs of students, which would lead to improved academic achievement and outcomes. The intervention project spanned from 1968 to 1980. So there's more about Dr. James Comer, and I want you guys to go look up. We'll put it in the show notes. Shout out to Dr. Byron McClure. He wrote a really phenomenal article about Dr. James Comer and about him being the godfather of Black SEL. So shout out to you, Dr. McClure. And then also shout out to you, Dr. James Comer, because without you, there would be no Black SEL. Without you paving the way for us, without us realizing that we have to honor our Black people in this field and highlight us, and give them their flowers while they're still living. Dr. James Comer got the Pioneer Award at our last Black SEL Summit, and the summit before that, he was our keynote speaker, so we honor you, and he also sits on our Black SEL board. So after that, some little history, after that, these scholars developed SEL as an umbrella framework in an attempt to end a piecemeal approach to social emotional learning that students face and create a common understanding and goal for student development. And so soon after that, we had CASEL, which was a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning, was created. So since the conception of SEL, thousands of schools have, of course, implemented SEL across the nation, and thousands of curriculums have popped up. We're excited about that. But still, as a curriculum developer, I saw the need to be able to create more culturally affirming research, be able to understand what Black people were actually doing this work in the SEL field, and then what Black people actually own their work in the SEL field. Because it's one thing to write for us, is another thing to write about us, right? And so we have to understand that we as a community have to protect our children. And we want to make sure that our curriculums are getting to Black and brown children that need us, because that is how we ensure that it could be the most culturally relevant, it could be the most culturally affirming, and then actually it could be culturally sustaining, right? So I'm really excited about this podcast episode because of the fact that we are going to be spreading the words to these experts in their field, having them spread it to their communities, and just really be able to create an authentic space to grow and learn and be, right? And be, right? And I love that because, like, there's so much pressure in this world right now. We don't got to be what somebody wants us to be. We are being, we are living, we are who we want to be. And through SEL, you're going to learn exactly who you are. You're going to learn your character. You're going to learn your identity. You're going to learn your everyday emotions. You're going to have self-efficacy skills where you're going to be practicing your performance and actually evaluating it and seeing how you've grown. Whew. I can't wait to see the new you. I can't wait to hear about the new you. So our goal with building this organization for us is Black people can reach, teach, and advocate for SEL in Black communities, organizations, and urban districts. We want our programs to be taught to our kids and for them, to have culturally affirming SEL curriculum as an option in urban districts. And you can support our mission by donating right on the link in our podcast and recognizing us on our site for helping the work to expand. Help us make a difference, and also help us make history by believing in this organization and what we are doing, in you to take action as you donate, as you become a member, as you come to our conference, as you support our work, as you come to a webinar, whatever it is, we appreciate you. So I'm so excited about this season. I'm so excited for what's going to come. I'm so excited for the guests that are coming through. I'm so excited to be raw with you and be real with you and create a space that's like none other, a black space, right? For you to be able to just join us and love on us and me love on you. So you'll see some dope folks, and I want you to follow them when they come on. I want you to shout them out. I want you to repost our podcast. I want you to say some quotes and take them down and add us on them. But we're really excited. So thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of Black SEL, right? Formerly known as Dangers of the Mind. But also follow our Black SEL Hub for more information on everything we're doing, the events we have coming up. And then just also, continue to be you, continue to live for you, and continue to practice social emotional learning skills and reach one, teach one. Each one is you to someone in your community. I love you, and I can't wait for the season to begin. So this is Black SEL, blackity black, the social and emotional hub for Black people. See you next time.